So far, many people think that Ukraine and Russia are similar and have very many similarities, but in fact there are many differences. Russia and Ukraine are two neighboring countries with a shared history and many cultural similarities. However, there are also significant differences between the two countries, including differences in language, religion, politics.
Hello, warm greetings from Click Insight channel. I hope you like our video content. Please subscribe, share, comments, and like, because there will be new videos every day. Subscribe is free. It is free. You don't need to pay anything. By subscribing, you support us to continue to grow, so we can continue to provide very valuable video content for you all. I love you. Thank you. Please enjoy our video now.
History, economy, and geography. Language. The official language of Ukraine is Ukrainian, while the official language of Russia is Russian. Although many people in Ukraine also speak Russian, there is a growing emphasis on the use and promotion of Ukrainian as the national language. This is due to the country's desire to establish a distinct national identity after years of being part of the Soviet Union. Religion. The majority of Ukrainians are Orthodox Christians, while the majority of Russians are also Orthodox Christians, but primarily belonging to the Russian Orthodox Church. There are also significant minority religious groups in both countries. Politics. Ukraine is a parliamentary republic with a president as the head of state and a prime minister as the head of government. The country has a multi-party system, and political power is decentralized, with local authorities having significant control over their regions. Russia is a federal semi-presidential republic, with a president as the head of state and a prime minister as the head of government. Russia has a dominant political party, United Russia, and a centralized government structure. History. Ukraine and Russia have a shared history, with both countries having been part of the Soviet Union until its collapse in 1991. However, the two countries have had different experiences since then. Ukraine has sought closer ties with the West and has worked to establish a distinct national identity. In contrast, Russia has sought to maintain influence in the region and has pursued a more assertive foreign policy, including the annexation of Crimea in 2014 and involvement in the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. Economy. Russia has a larger and more developed economy than Ukraine, with significant natural resources, including oil and gas. The country has a well-developed industrial base and a high level of technological expertise. In contrast, Ukraine's economy is heavily reliant on agriculture, with a significant industrial base as well. However, the country has struggled with economic instability and corruption, which have hindered its economic development. Geography. Ukraine is located to the west of Russia, with a coastline on the Black Sea. The country has a diverse geography, including the Carpathian Mountains in the west and the vast Ukrainian steppe in the east. Russia, on the other hand, is much larger, spanning two continents, Europe and Asia, and has a diverse range of landscapes and climates, including vast forests, tundra, and steppe regions. Demographics. Ukraine has a population of approximately 42 million people, while Russia has a much larger population of around 146 million people. Additionally, Ukraine has a higher percentage of ethnic Ukrainians, approximately 78%, than Russia has of ethnic Russians, approximately 81%. International relations. Ukraine is seeking closer ties with Europe and the West, while Russia is seeking to maintain influence in the region and has developed close relationships with countries such as Belarus and Kazakhstan. This has led to tension between Russia and Ukraine, particularly over issues such as NATO expansion and energy dependence. Military. Russia has a large and well-equipped military, with a significant nuclear arsenal, while Ukraine has a smaller military that has struggled to modernize and maintain its capabilities. The ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine has highlighted the differences in military strength between the two countries. Cultural differences. Although Russia and Ukraine share many cultural traditions, there are also differences in music, literature, and art. Ukrainian literature and music, for example, have been influenced by the country's history of occupation and struggle for independence, while Russian literature and music have been shaped by the country's vast size and diverse history. Human rights. There are also significant differences in human rights between the two countries. Ukraine has made progress in recent years, particularly in areas such as freedom of speech and the rule of law. In contrast, Russia has been criticized for its treatment of political dissidents, journalists, and minority groups. Overall, while Russia and Ukraine share a complex and intertwined history, there are also significant differences between the two countries. These differences have contributed to tensions and conflicts in recent years, particularly over issues such as energy dependence, international relations, and territorial disputes. Economy. As mentioned earlier, Russia has a larger and more developed economy than Ukraine. Russia has the world's largest natural gas reserves and is one of the world's leading oil producers. In contrast, Ukraine has a less developed economy that has been hindered by corruption and political instability. Ukraine is heavily reliant on its agriculture sector, which accounts for a significant portion of the country's GDP. Education. Ukraine has a highly educated population, with a literacy rate of over 99%. The country has a strong tradition of science and technology, with many universities and research institutions. Russia also has a well-developed education system, with many universities and research institutions. However, there are concerns about political interference in the education system in Russia. Media. There are significant differences in the media landscape between Russia and Ukraine. In Ukraine, there is a vibrant and diverse media environment with many independent outlets. In contrast, Russia's media is dominated by state-controlled outlets, and there are concerns about press freedom and censorship. Geography and climate. As mentioned earlier, Ukraine is located to the west of Russia and has a coastline on the Black Sea. The country has a diverse geography, including mountains, forests, and steppe regions. In contrast, Russia is the world's largest country and spans two continents, Europe and Asia. Russia has a diverse range of landscapes and climates, including vast forests, tundra, and steppe regions. The climate in Russia is generally colder than in Ukraine.
Here are some additional details about the differences between Russia and Ukraine. Politics. Russia has a semi-presidential federal republic system, where the president is the head of state and the prime minister is the head of government. In contrast, Ukraine has a unitary parliamentary constitutional republic system, where the president is the head of state and the prime minister is the head of government. The two countries also have different political cultures, with Russia having a more centralized system and Ukraine having a more decentralized system. Religion. Ukraine is predominantly Christian, with the Ukrainian Orthodox Church being the largest denomination. There is also a significant Catholic minority and a growing number of Protestants. In contrast, Russia is predominantly Russian Orthodox, with the Russian Orthodox Church being the largest denomination. There is also a significant Muslim minority in Russia. Language. Ukrainian and Russian are both Slavic languages, but there are significant differences between the two. Ukrainian has its own unique alphabet and pronunciation, while Russian uses the Cyrillic alphabet. There are also differences in vocabulary and grammar. Sports. Football, soccer, is the most popular sport in both Russia and Ukraine, but there are also differences in the popularity of other sports. In Ukraine, gymnastics, boxing, and biathlon are also popular. In Russia, ice hockey, figure skating, and chess are also popular. Transport. Ukraine has a well-developed rail system, with trains connecting most major cities. However, the country's road network is not as well developed, and many roads are in poor condition. In contrast, Russia has a well-developed road and rail network, with high-speed trains connecting major cities. Cuisine. Ukrainian and Russian cuisines share many similarities, but there are also differences. Ukrainian cuisine is influenced by the country's geography and history and includes dishes such as borscht, a soup made from beets, vareniki, dumplings filled with potatoes or cheese, and salo, cured pork fat. Russian cuisine includes dishes such as borscht as well, but also features dishes such as pelmeni, dumplings filled with meat, and blini, thin pancakes. In conclusion, while Russia and Ukraine share some cultural and historical similarities, there are also many differences between the two countries in areas such as economy, education, media, geography, and cuisine. These differences contribute to a complex relationship between the two countries, which has been marked by tension and conflict in recent years. Demographics. Russia is the world's 9th most populous country, with a population of over 145 million people, while Ukraine has a population of around 44 million people. Russia also has a more ethnically diverse population, with over 185 ethnic groups, including Russians, Tatars, Bashkirs, and Chuvash, among others. Ukraine's population is predominantly made up of ethnic Ukrainians, with significant minorities of Russians, Belarusians, and others. Military. Russia has one of the world's largest and most powerful militaries, with a strong focus on nuclear weapons and strategic deterrence. In contrast, Ukraine has a smaller and less well-equipped military. Following the conflict in eastern Ukraine, Ukraine has been modernizing and expanding its military, with support from the United States and other Western countries. Environment. Russia is home to a vast array of natural resources, including timber, oil, gas, and minerals. However, this has also led to environmental challenges, including pollution and deforestation. Ukraine has also faced environmental challenges, including pollution from heavy industry and mining, and the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster, which had a devastating impact on the environment and public health. Arts and culture. Both Russia and Ukraine have rich and diverse artistic and cultural traditions, with a strong focus on literature, music, and visual arts. However, there are also differences in the arts and culture of the two countries. For example, Ukrainian literature has a strong tradition of folk poetry, while Russian literature is known for its realism and philosophical depth. Ukrainian music often features the bandura, a traditional instrument similar to a lute, while Russian music has a long tradition of classical composers, such as Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, and Stravinsky. International relations. Russia has been more assertive in its foreign policy in recent years, with a focus on expanding its influence in the former Soviet republics and asserting itself on the world stage. Ukraine, on the other hand, has sought closer ties with the West, including through its aspirations for membership in the European Union and NATO. The conflict in eastern Ukraine has also brought international attention and involvement to the region. In conclusion, Russia and Ukraine are two distinct countries with their own unique characteristics and traditions. While there are some similarities between the two, there are also many differences in areas such as demographics, military, environment, arts and culture, and international relations. These differences have contributed to a complex relationship between the two countries, which has been marked by tension and conflict in recent years.